Welcome to Rated Radio. We are your hosts, Rayburn Alexander
and Shane Wyndham.
And we're here to take you on a journey into 5 albums from 2 musical artists per week. These artists were drawn at random, and during the next hour, we'll be diving in on what makes music from these artists great and not so great. Our rating scale runs from 1 to 5, 1 being painful and 5 being fantastic. Keep in mind, our opinions are subject to change over time, as we are, contrary to popular belief, human. But our main goal as appreciators of all genres of music is to recommend from an outside and partially unbiased perspective. So with that being said, let's roll the intro.
I have to say I like the intro that you wrote, but I do feel like you're trying to sell me something.
I am.
You should.
I am.
You should have gone into recording for communications. I think you'd be one of those people in a YouTube ad.
Oh, like
yeah,
like the super annoying people that usually you skip over.
Yeah. Anyway, if we continue down this path, I think you're going to believe that I'm trying to insult you, and that's not the case. What have you been up to?
Living in quarantine as the rest of the world is doing as well. Trying to survive and not get pissed off in the process.
First time we've seen each other in a long time.
Long time.
It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we know each other?
Unfortunately, we are in fact related to one another.
We have no option. We just know each other,
yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. Had I had the option, I might have chosen differently.
Yeah?
No.
I was going to say, I thought we were starting with compliments, but...
well, you've already insulted me,
I wasn't trying to insult you. It came out sounding like an insult, but...
It's my defense mechanism.
Yes. Okay. I can be hypercritical, and that doesn't bode well if you're trying to make someone sound good or talk someone up.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to just sound like I'm dragging them down.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. I'm used to it by now.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. I may not look it because it's a little early in the morning, but I am feeling it. I prefer it was like an evening and I had a beer in my hand, but...
That's always an option. Always subject to change.
Yeah. So if we need to pause at some point, I'll go get a beer, but you've already filled me with coffee, so...
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes. Thank you. That's what people are supposed to say under normal circumstances, right? Thank you.
Yes, under normal circumstances. But life nowadays isn't very normal anymore.
So why music? Let me ask you all of the questions here at once, okay? Because I wrote it a few different ways.
Got it.
Why music? What is it about music? And what made you love music so much?
Well, why music? It's kind of like the whole us being related thing. I didn't really have a choice, but, you know, I was raised around different genres of music, different eras that music came from, and it was something that grabbed me, and specifically... It was when I started getting into the Beatles. I know that sounds like a cliche, but, you know, whatever.
Yes, hipster.
But, you know, I was, my dad and mom were crazy hairbanders in the 80s.
I was going to say, we should throw out there immediately that I knew your parents for a while before you came along.
Yes, you did.
And even through your teens, I don't ever remember your parents listening to the Beatles. They always had music on, but it was the Beatles that caught you.
But maybe that's because it was my choice.
Okay.
So, I mean...
You had to find your own little, what don't they listen to that I can like?
Yeah, I mean, there's always people have to branch off.
Right.
But the core foundation that they instilled in me was something very, very powerful that I hold very, very dear, even to this day, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this.
Right.
I mean, these are conversations that I've had about artists my whole life, but now we're just recording it. So.
Yes. And not annoying the shit out of everyone around us with our talk. Although we still will be, because we'll hit social media with this stuff.
That's true.
But they have the option.
Yes.
And sometimes people like an option, like you with the Beatles.
I got my option, and anything from Loverboy to the Drifters to, the Black Keys to, all different genres of music, like Hank Williams and all over. Although you'll find more about my opinions and tastes as we get deeper into this.
She sounds like she has some taste. I just want to throw out there at the outset that while I have some taste, I'm also a garbage human.
It's okay. We're trash people.
Yes. I love trash music. I love the guilty pleasures. Mm-hmm. And I'm unapologetic about it at this point. So if you come here looking for someone who's going to trash an artist at the outset, it's never going to be me.
It might be me.
Might be Rayburn.
It might be me.
But we'll see.
But, it's just, I love music. There's something for everyone, every age of person, every type of person. There's a song for every feeling. And it's just, I don't know, I take a lot of comfort in the music that I listen to. And at the end of the day, I'm always listening to music. Always. So.
Cool.
What about
see
you?
Why you were an easy pick to start this podcast with. Yeah.
I like being easy.
Oh, okay.
Easy pick.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we are related, let's go ahead and move this along.
You're not going to answer for yourself?
Oh.
I think people
why
want to
music?
know. Yeah.
I'm an epileptic. I've had a few major seizures. This sounds completely unrelated. I apologize, but I tie a lot of my memories to music. I always have. I tend to trace the timeline of my life with music. And it's kept me listening. It's kept me digging deeper into things I've never heard before. And around every turn, I'm finding something I like. As I've gotten older, I've gotten much, much less pretentious about what I listen to. As a kid, I remember all I would listen to was rap. There were certain strands of R&B that I would listen to. And like I said, I don't claim to have had taste from the start. I don't claim that I always have taste now. But yeah, I like music. It's fun to listen to. It works in my head. It comes naturally, and I find it enjoyable, period. That's the whole point and purpose of what we're doing, is to try and share with people what we've liked, what we haven't liked, and let the internet just rage at us because they're going to. I have a very good feeling in certain places. What we've talked about before, I think it's important that we're not dishonest or pretentious about things. I don't care what the popular opinion is of something. I'm just listening to it, and I'm going to tell you how I felt about it. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And you're going to listen, and we will differ on a lot of things, but we want this to be a platform of, you shouldn't care what anybody's opinions are. Like what you want to like, whatever you're into, whatever you enjoy, listen to it because it makes you happy, not because of our recommendations or critiques.
And before we get started, did you ever make a playlist on Spotify for any of the music that we have listened to? Or I
haven't yet. I'm in the process of getting it switched over, but it'll be there.
Because you and your father shared a Spotify account for a long while, right? We did,
and I booted his ass off.
Yes.
And he got his own.
He's out in the wilderness, I'm sure, trying to figure out what to do.
He's having a lot of fun exploring.
Oh, okay. Good.
A lot of fun.
Very good. That's what I like to hear. I have my playlist up, so if anyone goes to Spotify and they look up my name, you will find my Fives playlist. I was going to say something else. It's a little ahead of where it should be because we've technically listened to a few different artists at this point. Mm-hmm. And you'll likely also find that I have music up there It's not the greatest music. I recorded most of it in a hurry. And
don't let him say that.
There are a few songs I genuinely like, but the majority of it is not great quality. The vocals were all done in a hurry. Everything was hurried just because I'm usually so busy with books that I don't have time to sit and record for long ass stretches of time.
So what he's trying to tell you is the songs are awesome. Just maybe the technical aspects.
I didn't say that either.
Maybe you should.
Nah.
Oh God.
I'm not full of myself.
He's very modest.
Yeah. Sometimes. When it comes to music, I definitely am. Another thing about starting the podcast is I thought it would be a great opportunity as well to bring in a lot of people we know.
People that contributed to what you're listening to today as far as the podcast goes. We are products of the people that raised us and contributed to our musical appreciation. So we want to share those wonderful people with you. So as time progresses, we may periodically have a guest on the show. Not necessarily one that you care about, but an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, they're all interesting. Everybody we know is interesting people.
Yes.
And that doesn't necessarily mean it will only be friends and family. Mm-hmm. I do know about 10 other podcasters at this point, and I know a handful of local musicians, some of whom I really do appreciate and enjoy, and some of them are already online. I don't know where you're listening, but we gravitate towards Spotify, yes. So sorry about that.
We gonna do some collabs, y'all.
Here's a good question. Do you pay for all sorts of streaming services at this point? The Netflix and
yeah. Who doesn't?
What would you cut? Like if you had to come down to just 2 of those streaming services.
Spotify would have to be. Well, I was going to say like video streaming services. Okay. Well,
it could be audio too. It could also be something like YouTube. Video audio is what I'm thinking.
I would probably go with YouTube and Netflix.
Okay.
I mean, I love my Hulu. I love my Amazon Video, my Disney Plus account. By the way, I have no children.
Oh.
I just have a Disney Plus account.
I do, and I tend to hate Disney Plus.
So there you go.
Yeah. I love Disney films. That's sounded really bad.
No, but you have them in your possession.
Yeah.
A lot of which.
It sounded kind of assholish to me when they first started it up. Like, oh, we're pulling everything that we own and putting it on our own streaming service.
But how is that any different from things being locked up in the vault?
I know. They've been inclusive forever.
No.
What's interesting about your answer is that I still don't pay for YouTube. They're more and more annoying the shit out of you when you open it up. You know, hey, you don't want to watch these 2 ads every 20 seconds? Go ahead and pay us. You can get a free month. I can't bring myself to do it. Yeah. I would keep Spotify, and I'm really, really sold on Prime Video right now. Mm-hmm. Because they'll let me buy movies. Mm-hmm. They're always changing what they have on for free anyway, but I can also buy the movies, and it's allowing me to rebuild a library of. I look at the $5 sales every week. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm speaking your father's language right now, I'm sure. So. Well,
the funny thing is that I don't pay for YouTube either. I'm an idiot.
Oh.
I would keep Spotify and Netflix. I just realized I don't pay for YouTube.
I don't even know how to touch that one.
I'm going to blame it on the fact that it's early and not on the fact that I can be a bit of an airhead sometimes.
So we have gone through a bunch of different ideas for how to go about this. There's been a lot going on with the viral epidemic and traveling across the country. And
I would say we're 6 feet apart right now.
Yeah, it's about 6 feet. I guess we're in a closed room without masks on, so, you know. If I die, I die.
Don't lick my mic. How about that?
Okay. I won't lick anything of yours. I appreciate it. What the hell was I saying? Oh, my God.
Do you want to get into our first artist?
I do. I wanted to give a bit of history, and that normally at the end of an episode, we're going to be drawing 2 artists that we will cover the following week. We're going to be encouraging people to write us about artists they want us to cover, and we'll keep a separate jar to draw from for those artists so that every week listeners are guaranteed something they've emailed us about we'll be listening to. Even when we have a guest on, that's going to be true. We'll draw from the listener jar first and foremost.
Listener participation is highly encouraged.
Yes.
So listen with us.
We'll touch on that later. There are a lot of ways we want to keep you guys involved, listening and interacting, telling us what you think and why we suck. Technically, this was supposed to be our test run. I think we may end up releasing this as a first episode just because I'm impatient. But these were drawn at random. These 2 artists were. So it's going to be more like the normal experience. And then next week are the hand-picked where we thought we were going to start.
Yeah.
And her pick was fantastic. Mine was garbage on purpose.
Some people are going to take offense to that.
I know.
They have a very large following.
I keep saying garbage. I'm thinking about everybody I know who constantly is just telling me this artist is garbage or, oh, don't listen to that. I don't actually think that.
Oh, I know.
I listen to these things.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. You introduced me to these people.
Yes.
And boy, it's been a wild ride ever since.
Yeah. It's been fun.
But I love it. I love your pick. So
what did we come up with at random?
We're going to be touching on Radiohead and Sia today.
Yeah.
So that's.
How did you feel overall? Which of the 2 artists would you say, after having listened to it, before we dive into the 5 albums per artist that we listened to, which topped the 2 for you?
Sia topped Radiohead for me.
Was it close or?
Oh, it was like a point away. Okay. So they were pretty close. But I will say this: Radiohead did surprise me in a lot of ways, and Sia did disappoint me in a lot of ways.
Okay,
but she still got by the skin of her teeth, in my opinion.
My answer is pretty much the same then, and I will say, even though Sia edged it out for me, that again, before we get into the deep dive on the artists themselves, I don't think that should mean Radiohead listeners feel bad for any reason, because the one album I keep coming back to from the 10 that we listened to is Radiohead's debut release. I keep going back to Pablo Honey.
Pablo Honey?
Yeah. It's very 90s alt. I don't know. I'm surprised. Let's start with Radiohead.
I'm ready to get into it.
We're already there. So, what albums did we go over?
We covered, I'm going to go in order by oldest to newest.
Yep.
So, 1993's Pablo Honey, 1995's The Bends, 1997's OK Computer, 2000's Kid A, and 2001's Amnesiac. And already we're differing because my number 1 pick for albums was The Bends.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
So it just, I don't know. I mean, Pablo Honey was up there. I think I ranked it right in the middle. But The Bends just, it edged it out for me.
Yeah, well, it took it down a notch, right? And they go slightly more acoustic,
and
mellow.
That's, I found out that's in their Amnesiac and Kid A albums, they got a lot more experimental with their sound as far as, it was more tech driven, a lot of synth sounds, and just, I mean, it was their, in my opinion, it was their Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah.
Here we go again, Beatles. But it was their experimental albums.
Please make it stop, listeners.
Okay, I promise I won't reference the Beatles again.
You can, just don't do it every 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
No, I got it. Well, the funny thing is they're not even my favorite band.
Yeah,
If I don't even have,
I almost never hear
have
you
one.
listen to the Beatles.
So anyway, but that's what I would compare it to. They got a lot more experimental with those two albums. Critically acclaimed. I mean, I believe, what was it? Sorry about that. OK Computer actually got listed in like one of the albums of all time.
Yep.
And I was surprised with that choice. But then again, I'm not the one doing the picking.
Yeah. I think when it comes to music awards, that sort of thing, there are a few that are given out for popish albums. Mm-hmm. But the majority of what I find in those sorts of picks is they're looking for experimental, weird, but also something that people are picking up in the mainstream. Mm-hmm. And so that seems pretty obvious. I thought those last three albums, OK Computer, Kid A, and Amnesiac, they all seemed themed. Mm-hmm. It really did feel like they set out with a sound in mind. And I think they nailed it. I just didn't personally find a lot of it enjoyable.
I agree.
Those first two albums, man. As far as the rating scales go, like, if it's a 3, I'd listen to it again.
It's good.
Yeah. And then 4 is genuinely good.
Yeah.
It misses that high point that I'm looking for. And 5 is something that, I would listen to without question again and thoroughly enjoy. So if we're talking about 5s, that first album got 6 5s from me out of 12 tracks. That's Pablo Honey. The Bends, it took 3, but almost everything on that album for me was a 4 as well. And it was a good album. I just didn't go back and revisit it in heavy detail. And from there, I did not give a single 5 to any of the other 3 albums.
Well, you'll be surprised to know. Okay, The Bends obviously was my number 1 choice. I only gave it 2 5s. My second was OK Computer. I gave it 1. You ready for me to rip your heart out?
Sure.
I gave Pablo Honey 0.
0 5s.
5s.
Man.
That's even Creep.
Not even Creep.
Not even Creep.
See, I would have thought going into it, and I have listened to some other Radiohead. I listened to Moon-Shaped Pool when it came out. I've heard a lot of people talk about this group for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I liked a lot of Moon-Shaped Pool. And I genuinely do like some of their sound. It's just a lot of this experimentation doesn't fall into something that I enjoy. And what's interesting is there is a song on one of these albums that a musician friend of mine has covered. It's not on Spotify because he had to cut it because it's a cover. Mm-hmm. But the Like Spinning Plates, mm-hmm. I think it's from Amnesiac. Mm-hmm. And his cover is fantastic. And so it gave me more of an idea of what that song would have sounded like if they weren't trying to be experimental. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Mm-hmm. But the actual song that they released is just too out there. I can't.
See, and I guess one of my biggest things is their lyrics are good. I like their lyrics a lot. It's just sometimes there's a disconnect between the sounds and bringing the way the sounds bring those lyrics to life.
Yeah.
I think that, especially in the Amnesiac and Kid A albums, just in my opinion, there was a disconnect. But a little backstory before we get too into Radiohead.
I think we're pretty into Radiohead.
I know, but they actually met in school in Oxfordshire. In 1985, they were actually going by a name On a Friday. That was the original Radiohead name.
On a Friday?
On a Friday, because that's when they would have their band rehearsal.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting, and they actually got signed. They ran into an EMI record executive at a record store that one of them worked at. Signed him for 6 albums. So
6.
I know. Why can't that happen?
I'm just wondering if that influenced their decision to do whatever the hell they wanted. And I can get behind that. I appreciate experimentation in a lot of forms. It's just if you're an artist that's already done something that's fantastic right out of the gate, it's really hard to enjoy the heavier experimentation unless it's doing something that also captures you. A lot of this just didn't capture me.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So let's move on a little bit. What were your top tracks?
My top tracks. Number 1 was High and Dry from the Bends. I just appreciated the sound. It fed my little emotional heart. Exit Music on OK Computer was my second. So not all bad. OK Computer was not all bad. It might have deserved maybe more than 1.5, but I think Exit Music got my 5.
Again, I gave it 0.
And Bulletproof on the Bends album.
Cool.
But a lot of those have that slow acoustic sound that I think, like, that's where they thrive.
Okay.
Toning it down a little bit, stepping back, slower paced, rugged.
Rugged. Like I'm trying to fall asleep, but I'm hardcore about it.
Yes. I might cry myself to sleep.
So
what were yours?
Mine were You. It's Y-O-U, not just the letter, right? Okay. Fake Plastic Trees.
That's a good one.
And Anyone Can Play Guitar. I know what keeps coming through in my head as a top track is Prove Yourself from that very first album. So I can't get past Pablo Honey. There's something about it that makes me feel like I'm 13, 14 years old again. Back in the late 90s. And not realizing that this great CD was out. They released a bunch of singles from that album, but the only thing that I ever remember hearing was Creep.
Yeah.
And I love Creep. So it's a good song to popularize an artist, especially this one. It's more reflective of something like the Bends, I think, than it is Pablo Honey.
Yeah, it's a good song. I really do enjoy it. I mean, it's a classic. I don't know. Did you know that they outlawed that in England?
Creep?
Yes.
Why?
Because they rated it too depressing. Which is one of the reasons why it thrived in the United States. And India, I believe.
Too depressing.
Too depressing. I was surprised, but...
So you're just not allowed to listen to depressing music over there?
Well, they're very happy people.
Okay.
The English.
Okay.
The British.
I don't know. I have absolutely no idea.
Well, keep in mind, this was in 92.
I'm a dumb American, so...
This was in 92 when this happened.
Okay.
That they outlawed it. I mean, I would assume that that's not the case. If you're from there, please let us know.
There may have been fears during that early grunge period, too, that kids were going to off themselves to sad music and that sort of thing. Anyway, what's your bottom track?
My bottom track. My bottom track was Fitter, Happier on the OK Computer.
Okay.
It was very tech driven, I think. I think that was the first time they experimented with that new sound.
You don't care too much for electronic music.
I wouldn't say that. If it's going to be electronic, it has to pull me in with a beat or a hook, and none of these had a good beat or hook for me.
Okay. I was going to say, I've heard people claim that they can't get in, like they don't feel the electronic music. It has to be real, even though everything is electronic in a sense these days.
Yeah.
And I was going to say your significant other loves that sort of music.
I know a lot of EDM, house music. I love like give me a Daft Punk with a sick beat, and even some
I will call your cell phone and leave you a voicemail with some Daft Punk if you ever send me your phone number, which please don't.
Yeah, he'll leave you a 5-minute voicemail of doing it right.
Yeah.
So
What's sad is I must have been bored that day because I did that to 6 or 7 people.
You sent it to like almost everyone you knew.
Yes. Well, not everyone I knew. I know more than 6 or 7 people. But isn't it weird? 6 or 7. Like, which was it? I don't...
Well, it took you
I was probably
them.
drinking, so...
It took you dialing them and sitting there listening to the song at least 6 or 7 times.
Yes.
And recording.
And not laughing. Sometimes I'd have to re-record because it would strike me as too funny and I would start giggling. Anyway.
What's your bottom track?
Oh, motion picture soundtrack. I could not... I don't know.
Interesting.
There are some shorter noise tracks and stuff that...
Fillers.
Yeah, they remind me of interludes and things that I'm not going to rate very highly anyway. Motion picture soundtrack was a handful of those combined. That's my memory of it. Could be completely off base. Maybe it's a great track and I just need to listen to it again. That's something else. How much of the music do you actually listen to?
I give it at least to the first chorus. If something, a beat, a lyric, sound, just a general vibe of a song doesn't hook me by the first chorus, I move on.
Okay.
But I always give it to the chorus because usually the chorus is reserved for that hook.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have me, then I'm out.
So we're being honest about it then.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, I see a lot of reviewers, and I'm consistently thinking, did you listen to the entire song? Because that seems super painful if you're not enjoying it. But I go through some of that pain. I don't always listen to the entire track. If something isn't catching me, I'll give it through the second chorus. Because sometimes sometimes they don't do a chorus when you hit that first hook area. And sometimes there's something that follows it after the second. And then I go back and I listen to each album a second time just to sort of cement my opinions because I know views change over time. Mm-hmm. So talk to me in 6 months. I may love Radiohead a lot more than I'm currently making it sound. Anyway.
Let's get to talking about songs that we think should have been singles.
Okay.
I'm going to let you go first because I'm legitimately curious to know.
Yeah, well, for this artist in particular, I know I had to cut a lot of my picks because I'm looking at Wikipedia as I listen where it shows me the singles. If you didn't do that, that's fine.
I did.
So after I'd cut everything, the ones that I would have thrown out there as singles were Optimistic, You, and Prove Yourself. I'm telling you, there is something about Prove Yourself that just gets stuck in my head and makes me want to go back and listen to this artist again and again. And that opening track from Pablo Honey, You, it's just fantastic.
Well, mine.
Yours.
Well, it's funny. It was the number 1 track on Pablo Honey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I am not even going to let you know what I rated that.
Probably not great.
Oh no, pretty bad.
Yeah?
It got a 1.
Oh, okay.
we're already. This has already started.
Yeah.
This is good.
We have differing opinions.
Mine should have been singles, which
nobody cares anymore because you gave you a 1. But carry on.
My number 1 that should have been singles was Bulletproof off the Benz album. It was also listed in my top tracks. Exit Music off of OK Computer. And My Iron Lung, which was on the Benz.
Yeah, I liked that track.
I liked that
track. Yeah.
I really, really liked it. And my strangest track was also my bottom track, Fitter Happier.
I'll have to go back and listen to that again. I may have just blocked it out. It may have been that bad.
Oddly enough, I think that was one of the ones that I hung out all the way through just to see if it was going to change, and it just...
It's something that sounds like you should have high expectations of from the get-go.
Yeah.
Because every time I hear the title, I'm just thinking of Daft Punk.
Oh, Better, Stronger.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess if it doesn't hit that mark, you're probably just moving on. Mm-hmm. What's next?
What about your strangest track?
Oh, Pyramid Song. I wanted to like Pyramid Song, It does some weird timing things, though, which I never got used to. I kept listening, and even when I re-listened, it was still bothering me. If you go back and listen to Pyramid Song, it does some timing things that are almost prog rock, but I couldn't get into it. I don't know. I make no excuses. I am a garbage human.
I was going to say, you know what? The best thing about this is we don't have to make excuses for our choices.
Exactly.
What a couple of their the Kid A and Amnesiac albums, they were very tech driven.
Yeah.
What would be one of the tracks that you could hear in a video game that you think would fit being in a video game?
I picked Prove Yourself.
Really?
I'm telling you, I'm going to sound like a broken record here.
I picked Idiotic.
Idiotic.
Is it?
I think. It's spelled strangely, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but I
like
think...
idiotic, or if memory serves.
I think that one was, I guess, the more closely linked to, like, a Daft Punk kind of sound.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was my choice.
All right, so let's start rapid firing through this, because we are hanging on Radiohead from a little bit longer than anticipated.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised.
Yeah. So we're going to fly through some of the rest of these questions that we've outlined. So to begin with, what did you think was their best album art?
I liked the Bends.
Okay. I picked Kid A. And what about their worst?
Amnesiac.
I said OK Computer. Just because I thought it looked muddy from a distance. I thought they had great album artwork. Even Amnesiac has this, you know exactly what it is from a distance. I appreciate that about their album arts.
Neither one of us picked their art.
Their arts.
Neither one of us, I'm very surprised, out of the 5 albums that we did, we didn't double up on any answers, whether it be worst or best.
Yeah.
So.
And I didn't use Pablo Honey again. You didn't
hear
it come out of my mouth.
I know.
Best album or song title?
The Bends was my best album.
Okay.
I didn't pick a song title.
Mine was How to Disappear completely.
Worst
Loved
album.
that. And their worst?
Yeah.
What'd you pick for their worst?
Kid A.
Kid A.
Yeah.
I picked Lucky just because there's already a song out there called Lucky, so you're just confusing me with a better song. And if Lucky is your favorite Radiohead song, I apologize. That's personal opinion. Everyone is entitled to theirs.
Well, you also have
These aren't facts.
Great connection with the other Lucky that you're talking about.
Yeah, I like to play it myself.
You're not the only man that I know that loves to play that song.
Yeah, it's easy to play. It feels good. It's too depressing, though. You probably couldn't listen to it. Is it England?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Especially what's going on with this artist nowadays. Oh.
So what title would you have used instead of Kid A?
It's gonna get weird.
And it does. Instead of Lucky, I would have gone with Feeling Sleepy. Yeah, because that's exactly what happened.
Sleepy? Well, did you cry?
No, I didn't cry.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm past the crying stage for the most part. I remember being young, music would move me like that. There are very rare instances where something will make me cry.
Well, Radiohead's supposed to make you cry and sleep.
No, I'm not that angsty teen anymore. It has to be related to death or something extremely brutal.
Okay.
Actually, happy cries are more common now, I find, as a parent.
Yeah, you're a parent now.
Yeah.
You got all weird.
I did.
You became a parent. You just got like this little creature.
It stopped, though. I was happy about that. For a while there, the first, 6 months of his life, it was just like bawling at random all the time over the smallest stupid little things. Anyway. What is their strangest element? Strongest, not strangest. Strongest element.
Because if we want to get in the strangest.
No, strongest.
Okay. Lingering sounds that utilize an echo sound.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why I appreciate them going back to basics with the acoustic, slow-paced sound, because it really focuses on what they're saying and putting, I guess, slower, softer notes to it. And I think that they mesh well. So.
Okay.
What about yours?
I said they're 90s alt vibes. So it's going to remind me of some early Bush. Mm-hmm. Not Demi's Bush.
But the early Bush.
Yes, the group
the pre-Bush.
Yes.
Got it.
Like 16 Stone era.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
See, and I think one of the reasons why, I mean, like Creep and, Fake Plastic Trees and even High and Dry, those hold a special place for me. But you were prime teenager, like when this stuff was really getting going. Me, I'm still shitting in my pants.
Yes.
So, I mean, I make that sound like you're so much older than me. You're not, but there is an age gap between us.
A lot was changing.
Mm-hmm.
The world was becoming much more digital.
Mm-hmm.
I think Radiohead's music is a prime example of technology leaping forward throughout that era.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why experimentation was the name of the game.
Well, everything got all space crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, what for you would be their weakest element?
Their lack of structure in a lot of places. If you don't hit me with a hook, I'm sorry. The majority of the time, I'm not loving what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I listen for that. I don't know. It has to go somewhere. There has to be a peak in what you're doing and a rise and a fall. Mm-hmm. And also their over-experimentation. What about you?
I said reaching too far out into left field for sounds. A lot of that OK Computer and Amnesiac and Kid A albums, I just felt like they were reaching for something for sake of reaching.
Yeah.
For sake of staying relevant in the early 2000s.
Right.
And I just didn't feel that it was as genuine as those earlier 90s albums.
What about your first or best encounter with Radiohead? What was your introduction or your best experience with them?
Talk show host.
Talk show host.
Talk show host. That's my best experience.
Okay.
My first obviously would be Creep, but best experience, Romeo and Juliet, Baz Luhrmann, talk show host.
I never put that together, and I've got the poster.
You're
on
looking
the wall,
at
right
the
to my left
poster.
here, yeah.
It's both one of our favorite movies. I'm a sucker for Leonardo DiCaprio. I love Baz Luhrmann. He's like top 3 favorite directors of all time.
There's a great cast there, not just Leo.
No, I know. You got
Mercutio,
who is a little angel,
mm-hmm.
and Claire Danes, early Claire Danes, like coming straight off of My So-Called Life.
Yeah.
So
and John Leguizamo. One of his best performances. You can't top. It takes me back to a lot of the kids that I knew when I was young.
Mm-hmm. We even got Jamie Kennedy in there. You can you can see him for a tiny bit. He's one of the Montague boys.
All right, we're off topic on
Romeo
anyway. And Juliet now.
Yeah, it's talk show host. If talk show host wasn't on any of these albums, it was, I believe, an additional single to one of these albums, which is one of the reasons why it didn't make it on my list.
Yeah, which they have a lot. And just to be clear, we're rating the albums as they were originally released. Mm-hmm. We're not listening to the bonus tracks or the special editions that have all the extra tracks, live tracks, greatest hits. Mm-hmm. We're not covering any of that. We might do specials at some point, but not right now.
Had talk show host been in my list, it would have gotten a 5.
Okay.
So
I need to go back and listen to the song. I'm pretty sure it's a 5. I just don't know it off the top of my head. Who would you compare Radiohead to? Who are they similar to?
Well, funny enough, I found out later that one of my bands inspired them. R.E.M.
Yeah.
Like R.E.M.
My sheet literally says R.E.M. meets Tonic.
I put R.E.M., Coldplay, Smashing Pumpkins, and Beck.
Yeah.
Again, Smashing Pumpkins, Beck, around the same time period, like not now Beck, early Beck.
Well, the odd thing about Beck, from what I've heard, is he jumps all over the map. So
That's very true.
You might get a creep on an album that's full experimentation. You're not really going to get that from Radiohead. They are very focused in what they're doing on each album. So I said REM meets Tonic, and that's just for the first 2 albums. Beyond that, if you want to listen to something that's great, that's not this if you want the Radiohead sound for those last 3 albums, but really structured listen to a group called Chroma Key. It's not really a group, it's just one guy. It's the ex-keyboardist of Dream Theater. But yeah, Chroma Key.
Got it.
That's what you should listen to if you like the Radiohead experimentation vibe.
You never answered your first best experience with Radiohead.
Oh, it was Creep. That's all I wrote down. Same as everyone. It's Creep.
Apparently not.
There are likely a few people out there who have a... You said your first...
It was, but
Creep.
it wasn't my... I asked best too.
Okay. Best is an option.
I
didn't really have a best apart from this listening experience. So, Creep, same as almost everyone. Their introduction, probably the only Radiohead that they really know,
is Creep.
Yeah. I guess some people might know Karma Police really well.
Yeah.
But never struck me. It's like there's the Verve and the Verve pipe.
Yes.
And so one does the Freshman.
Yes.
That's Creep to me versus the other one that does Karma Police is... What's the song that... I think it's the Verve pipe.
Yeah. The Verve pipe. Well, you said...
One of those groups has a single. And I can't for the life of me
He's
think of the name
looking at
of it
me
right
like,
now.
help me.
Yeah,
and I'm like...
Please help.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but the Verve and the Verve pipe kind of...
I can hear it in my head. I've got to look this up. This is bugging me.
Bittersweet Symphony.
Bittersweet Symphony, yes.
Yeah, it came through.
That's my Karma Police comparison. I don't care for it anywhere near as much as I do the other track by
Freshman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just have the desire to sing it, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I could just hear it in my head.
A friend of mine calls that particular song sad bastard music.
Yeah, that's motion picture soundtrack. Go ahead, listen to it, listen it up.
When would you say is the perfect time to listen to this artist? Listen to Radiohead.
When MTV starts... What did I write? When MTV starts doing flashback best of vids. It was funny because I wrote it because I'm thinking about the time, but I've never actually watched a Radiohead video. I didn't go look at their videos. So
I didn't either.
Yeah. I think if an artist really catches me, I might go do that, but we were on the road, so it was kind of out of the question.
Your poor spouse.
Yeah. I had headphones on. I didn't do that to her. I didn't
really
do that
feel for your son and your wife.
No, I didn't do that to them.
I said something far more depressing.
Okay.
Late at night alone with a drink.
All right.
Which is probably what happened. So.
What happened when?
When I was listening to this.
Oh.
So that's my perfect time to listen to this artist.
And you didn't kill yourself, so clearly...
I did.
It should never have been banned. Creep was fine to listen to.
Yes.
How does the artist's music make you feel?
Again, another depressing answer. Alone.
My answer was at best, so talking about those first 2 albums, like I'm stoned at a jam session.
Okay.
Yeah.
What song would you like?
I didn't write a cover. Did you write a cover?
I did. I put Asleep by the Smiths.
All right. You'll never hear it because you will be asleep.
Yes. It's literally first line is Sing Me to Sleep.
What about a collaboration artist?
Beck.
You want them to collaborate with Beck?
I think that would be, since they're both so experimental, I think that they could either go back to their roots, both of them, or get really, really weird. And I might not like it, but I'm here for it.
And we have a collaboration artist or we have a collaboration with Beck in the next artist. I don't know if you caught that at any point.
I don't think so.
Yeah, pretty sure. I could be wrong, thinking of it wrong.
What
anyway,
about...
I wrote Kanye West.
Okay.
I thought maybe if they got together, they would both realize that they should get back to doing what they do best instead of the direction that it's headed for Kanye. I think Radiohead has actually gone back to more of what they do best, but that could be me not thinking of it correctly.
Which we could follow up with their later albums in another episode. That's another thing that we want everybody to know is just because we're picking 5 albums from an artist, that doesn't mean that we won't cover those other albums at a later date.
Yep.
So if you don't hear an album that you like in particular that we've discussed, keep listening, because there is always a chance that they will pop back up and we will cover the rest of those albums.
Yeah. Another thing is, if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify, I don't want you to pause it in the middle of a show to go listen to this stuff, but you're right there on Spotify. So when we're done, go listen to whatever you like.
Spotify should endorse us. That's all I'm saying.
No.
We've been talking about them so much. In case you didn't know, we like Spotify.
We do. There's a lot that I don't like about Spotify too, but just in time for this podcast, they started showing track numbers when you go to individual albums. Before that, you couldn't see track numbers, and it used to piss me off. Anyway, next question. What odd thing do you love or hate about this artist?
I think they're experimental techno inspirations.
Yeah.
And just that it feels like they're reaching.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel as genuine.
And I wrote pretty much the same thing, how they abandon a good tune to be artsy. That's what happened more and more. I'm sorry, that's how I'm hearing the music.
Mm-hmm. How do you think that they could change that to be more successful in the future?
Go back to their roots.
Yeah. I picked I actually said being more cohesive when experimenting.
Yeah.
Because if they had been more cohesive, I didn't think that experimenting obviously is not bad. You don't know unless you try. Sometimes you get some duds, whatever. But it's just, like I said, it just seems like they're reaching. There's not any real cohesion there. There wasn't a plan.
Yeah.
So.
And if you're noticing a trend here, we don't look for anything that's too artsy and just credit it because, that's something we've never heard before. It has to also be something we think is worth listening to or that we take enjoyment from. So, sorry about your luck, late radio. How likely are you to recommend this artist?
I mean, like what, on a scale of 1 to 5?
I mean, just...
You want to know...
Would you recommend it to someone? If so, who?
I said sure.
Uh-huh.
Because I would want anybody to give anything a listen.
Okay.
Just to see if they like it.
So Raven's answer is always going to be the same.
But, I mean, they weren't bad. They weren't the worst. I didn't absolutely hate everything I listened to. There were a couple of gems in there. So I said sure. There could be people that I'm like, I do not recommend.
She's had some time to think about this, because I know when she was originally listening to this stuff,
I was cringing.
Oh, she was ready to come out with a hot take.
It was a long process that I struggled with to get through, especially because I saved those earlier albums for the end. Mm-hmm. I didn't start with those albums. I went in year order.
Okay.
So when I was reaching the end, it was dragging out a little bit.
Yeah. So. And to contrast that with the experience that we're going to get to in a minute, boy, I would have recommended Pablo Honey. It's the only one that I could completely recommend, but it is a solid must-hear album. Mm-hmm. The more I go back and listen to it, the more I'm loving it. And that gives me hope for the rest of Radiohead's music too, that maybe I just haven't had enough time with this artist. But it's definitely not something I feel as though you're going to turn on for someone and they're just going to immediately fall in love with it, apart from maybe Pablo Honey. But again, that's my opinion. You would say the Bends, I'm guessing.
Yes, I would say the Bends. OK Computer even I thought was really interesting. Pablo Honey's a classic. I think the reason why I rated the Bends and OK Computer so high is I didn't know OK Computer or the Bends. And I experienced those albums completely new, completely fresh. Pablo Honey, I could expect what to hear from that album. So I think the Bends surprised me. And I think that's one of the reasons why I rated it so high.
Okay. Did you get anything on the bottom portion of these sheets? Anything you wanted to talk about?
No.
All right.
No, I think we've touched on how shitty of a human being I am when it comes to Radiohead.
Well, I will go over the few things that I did write down then. I was surprised to find that 98% roughly of all Google users all liked all of these albums. So public does not necessarily feel the same way we do. Of course, I think if you're going to rate an album on Google, you have to be looking for it because you like it anyway. It's just that 2% of haters that are always there. Maybe that's what we'll find with everybody, but I thought that was interesting. Again, I have a friend, his name is Kyle Ryan. I think he's going by Kyle Aaron Ryan, and his music is now on Spotify. His cover of Like Spinning Plates is not there, but if you like what Radiohead is doing, I think you're really going to like what Kyle's bringing to the table. So check him out, give him a listen, give him a follow. As far as whether or not this group could use a greatest hits album, I think it would be a necessity.
Yeah. They really need that filtering album.
Yeah.
And I think that it would sell great. Yeah. I mean, obviously with the percentage of people on Google that liked all these albums, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those artists you could dive further into if you really like the greatest hits. And if you're not so much enjoying what you hear, just back away. But having all of the best of their stuff packed into one package, it would do them a world of good, in my opinion. They'll never do it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So
if we have a space for song or album title recommendations for the group. So if they were going to put out a new album or a new song or whatever, my new album title that I would want them to go with is 25-Year-Old Sound, because I would damn sure buy that album. Anyway.
25-Year-Old Sound.
What's something related to music you would want to let people know about?
Well, I have you to thank for my recommendation, because you put me on to the Weeknd's new After Hours album. Mm-hmm. If you like 80s synth sounds, go listen to it. Especially the In Your Eyes, Blinding Lights, even I think Scared to Love again.
Yeah.
Scared to Love.
Scared to Live.
Scared to Live.
Scared to Live.
Hardest to Love
was
right before it, and I recommend that one too. So it's been my jam.
Faith has been stuck in my head like crazy.
Really?
And I would also say that the album has like 80s, well, we said 80s, but horror and R&B vibes. It kind of reminds me of that American Horror Story.
American Horror Story, yes. 1984. That's exactly what I was thinking too.
And I like that he's always going for something different when he releases an album. But we're talking about a different artist now. Wasn't my intention.
My bad.
No, you're good. If we're talking about song or album of the week recommendations, mine is going to be a song by a group known as Big Wreck. Mm-hmm. And the song is called That Song.
Oh, yeah, that song.
Yeah.
I know that song.
See, I've never heard it mentioned anywhere by anybody, and I cannot stop listening to it. But we got Song of the Week out for everybody, or Album of the Week. Mm-hmm. I was talking about like a promotional break to talk about a product or something that we I really enjoyed. If you don't have anything at the ready...
Listen to our podcast.
Yeah,
Rated
totally.
Radio with Shane Wyndham and Rayburn Alexander.
Yes.
That's my promotion.
Totally.
I'm promoting myself, self-promoting myself.
All right. Well, I'm not going to go with a self-promotion. There's a game out there. It's pretty cheap. It's music related, and I think just about anybody can get into it because it doesn't involve trivia. It's called Mixtape, and that's fantastic. We took it on our trip recently to Idaho.
I own it as well.
Yeah, and we have probably multiple copies of this game and have given it to friends and family. It's fantastic. You just pull a card out and it gives you a prompt. Like if you're standing on top of a hill after a victorious battle or something silly like that.
The cops are chasing you.
What song would you want to be playing? And everybody goes around and they play this song. And then everybody votes as to who had the best song. Can't vote for yourselves. And eventually somebody wins by getting the most cards. That's probably not even the rules. That's just how we play it. But it's perfect if you want to listen to music and have music be involved in what you're doing, but not have anything related to trivia. Just about anyone can get into this game. It's called Mixtape. It's what, like $15 on Amazon?
Yeah. It's a great icebreaker game.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about a person based off of their choices, what they would think would be perfect in this situation.
Sometimes too much.
Sometimes too much. But yeah, it's a great icebreaker game. You can play it in I think we played it with 10 people one time. I mean, it's got, I think, an unlimited number of people that can play. It's just whether or not you want to sit through everybody's song.
Yeah.
But,
and it doesn't have to be a whole song. It's like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah. Especially the easily recognizable ones. But yeah, we've played it several times and I'll give a recommendation for that as well.
Yeah, you fun. Actually found this game.
I did. And I don't know why I didn't think to promote it.
So good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I thought we bought each other this game. Oh no, I bought you your second copy. You already owned one copy.
Yeah, which was cool because it let me give it to somebody else, I think, or...
I gave you the gift of giving it to someone else.
Yes.
That's what I did.
Yes, I re-gifted something truly exquisite for the first time in my life. So, let's move on to Sia.
All right.
And I think we ran pretty long on that first artist. So we're going to go a little faster through this one, I think. And I apologize that we got so in deep on Radiohead.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll do her justice in the time that we have remaining. The albums that we covered for Sia is her 2005 Color, the Small One. 2008, Some People Have Real Problems. 2010's We Are Born. 2015's 1,000 Forms of Fear. And 2016's This Is Acting.
Okay. Rate the albums for me. Rank them. 1 to 5. Okay. 1 being best, 5 being the worst. What'd you think?
My number one choice was Some People Have Real Problems. I liked her earlier stuff. My number 2 choice was 1,000 Forms of Fear. Number 3 was This Is Acting. Number 4 was Color, the Small One. And number 5 was We Are Born.
Okay. And then for me, 1,000 Forms of Fear took the top. Then This Is Acting. Some People Have Real Problems was number 3. Number 4 was We Are Born. And number 5 was Color, the Small One. I did not have a great experience with this artist's first 3 albums that we listened to. 1,000 Forms of Fear and This Is Acting. They were great pop albums. And it should be stressed, this is pop.
Yes.
It's newer, it's more electronic, it's heavy hitting, but it is pop. And
and again, I'm a stickler when it comes to 5s because my number 1, Some People Have Real Problems, only got 2 5s.
So you're giving very few 5s, you think, is what's
at least for these 2 artists.
Okay.
Maybe when we change, I was very surprised at how cynical I was when it came to Sia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her second 1,000 Forms of Fear album, I only gave 1.
Okay.
Same with This Is Acting, 1.5.
Well, let's back this up. You said some people have real problems. I gave 1.5. 1,000 Forms of Fear got 8 5s from
hell.
me. Yeah. This Is Acting got 5. And the rest got 0.
Yeah, the rest got 0 for me too.
Where'd you land on 5s for This Is Acting?
1.
1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So maybe I might be being a little too harsh. Maybe I need to realize that giving out 5s is okay.
Did you listen to them in order?
Yes. No, I listened to them in reverse order.
Oh, okay.
So I started with the newer stuff and then went to the older stuff on that one.
I did the same as I did with Radiohead. I started at the beginning and moved forward.
I should have. I didn't even realize I did that.
I think maybe by the time I got to 1,000 Forms of Fear, which is really when she brought in more songwriters, more producers, and the hooks really started to land. She really started to use her voice, her vocal range more. Mm-hmm. There was less experimentation. Experimentation is a strong word. Her early work was very acoustic, odd, citrusy.
Yeah. Did you know she's been around since the 90s?
Yes.
Yeah, she's been slept on quite a while. She wrote...
Literally slept on, if you heard those first few albums.
She wrote a lot of music for a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Beyonce, Kylie Minogue, Flo Rida, Rihanna. The only reason why she got her start, really, like she picked up, Christina Aguilera hired her to write music for the movie Burlesque.
Which, and if you know Christina Aguilera's range,
she saw something there.
Sia is pretty capable of the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's just so strange to listen to her first few albums that we listened to because she's not making much use of it. The tracks are she's doing the odd things with her voice, but she's not going into the high range. Mm-hmm. So she's not kicking you in the face with what she's capable of.
Yeah.
And it bothered me.
Yeah. Like you could sense it.
I couldn't get past it. I just kept waiting and waiting. And it wasn't getting there. Yeah. And I know a lot of people really, really love Sia's music as well. Mm-hmm. So again, this was a rough week because we got 2 artists that I didn't have great feelings about.
Yeah.
That I know people genuinely love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What were your top tracks from her?
Chandelier. I keep coming back to it. Anyway, Reaper and Soon Will Be Found.
Mine was You Have Been Loved, number 1. Bird Set Free. Highly surprised by that one. That one kicked me straight in the teeth. I was like, never heard it before.
She genuinely has no teeth now.
I genuinely have no teeth. And Elastic Heart.
Elastic Heart's a good one.
Was my number 3.
I love that video.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I know it got a lot of flack, but
Bottom track.
Sweet Design.
Okay.
On the This Is Acting album. So one of her newer albums. Right. But yeah. What about you?
The Bully.
I think that I rated that a 1. I'm
fairly certain The Bully is the Beck collaboration. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry. I do like a lot of Beck's music. I do like a lot of Sia's music, apparently. Yeah. She did edge out the win, primarily because of 1,000 Forms of Fear having so many 5s. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I didn't care for The Bully. Which tracks should have been singles?
Bird Set Free.
Bird Set Free.
You Have Been Loved and Elastic Heart. It's the same thing. Right. I loved Chandelier. I mean, that was that one of her best ones. But with these, I mean, Elastic Heart I think is my favorite Sia song. But I think with Bird Set Free and You Have Been Loved, I think that they surprised me.
Okay.
And if they catch me off guard,
that's what you want.
Something to make a note of.
That is definitely what you want.
What about you?
Burn the Pages, Free the Animal, and Dressed in Black. I don't know. You can go listen to those in your spare time if you want. Again, I have a playlist on Spotify with all of my 5s. And if you go before we release the next episode, assuming we release this, then you're also going to hear my 5s for next week.
Yeah. Yep.
Let us not forget in the end that we have to say we already did say which artists, right? No, we did not.
For what, Radiohead and Sia, or next week?
Next week.
We have not said.
We got to remember to do that.
We've tiptoed on how awesome and garbage they are. Yes. Apparently.
Strangest track.
It's funny that you said "Free the Animal" because "Free the Animal" to me was the strangest track.
Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah,
it just caught me.
And I got you.
That's a lot of her music. I think you're going to love it or you're going to hate it. Mm. It's hard to fall right in the middle, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. What about you?
Playground. I'd have to go listen to it again. I think something was off-putting about it.
Yeah.
I didn't write anything for who they sound similar to, so what do you got?
I picked Amy Winehouse and Lily Allen.
Okay. I'm going to be honest, I don't know Lily Allen.
Oh, I can't. Well, see. I can't. She sang 5 o'clock in the morning with T-Pain. Smile. I think that after this, I'm going to have to show you something.
I don't stay on popular radio most of the time.
But see, I don't think she's that popular.
Well, it may be like trending things on Spotify. Do you let things play a lot or listen to Pandora and that sort of thing? I do. Okay. I have control issues. I can't get down with Pandora. A lot of the times, I have to be in control. Yeah, I have playlists for every mood that I'm in, which you'll find on my Spotify when I get it set up. She must get it prepared.
I must prepare it. But you'll see a lot of those playlists that I have pre-made that you're more than welcome to listen to as well.
Best album art.
Their best album art for me is Some People Have Real Problems.
Okay. Mine was 1,000 Forms of Fear. My worst album art was Some People Have Real Problems.
And see, my worst was We Are Born.
Yeah. She's got some strange cover art, and it changes. She'll release it one year, and a little while later, she'll release it with different cover art. It's happened a few times. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
I do love the 1,000 Forms of Fear album art. It's, it's what she was known for, was her bob and her covered up face. You couldn't really see her. So, what song would you like Sia to cover?
Where's that at? Oh, I literally wrote "Don't Care." That's not a song. That's just my genuine feeling. I don't care.
See, and my artist that I want her to cover is actually the same one that I want her to collaborate with. I want her...
Beck.
Yeah. No, Skyfall by Adele.
Oh, okay.
So I think both powerful voices... I think that they could do something, make it work.
I get it. You're going to be triggering my sister who hates Adele, apparently.
Well...
Actually,
I'm not here to please the masses.
While I was listening to this artist, I had that feeling. I thought about my sister's hatred of Adele's voice, apparently. Thinks she writes great songs, but hates her voice. And those early albums, there's some things she does with her voice that I just can't stand because she's not kicking it into gear.
Yeah.
It was very MSMR.
Yeah.
Anyway. Where are we at? Best album or song title?
Well, their best album for me is People Have Real Problems, and the worst is We're Born.
Okay. I said the best song title was The Girl You Lost to Cocaine.
Okay.
Because that's a song I want to listen to. I just am curious.
Yeah.
And the worst for me was Broken Biscuit. Call me crazy.
You don't like Broken Biscuits?
Didn't even care what Broken Biscuit was about. There's a really old song called Rubber Biscuit, which that seems so odd you have to hear it. But Broken Biscuit, I don't really know what we're talking about. That's I guess a cookie.
Yeah, that's like a regular... That happens all the time.
A broken biscuit.
A broken biscuit. I'm just saying, when you hear Rubber Biscuit and you hear Broken Biscuit, you're like, nah.
Yeah. Listen to Rubber Biscuit, by the way. It's a doozy. If you like old music and you've never heard that. Whew.
What do you think their strongest element is? What do you think?
No. Hold up.
I didn't answer.
You didn't give an alt title?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Well, instead of Broken Biscuit, I would have called it Eat Me Gently. Eat Me Gently.
Wait, what was it again?
The song title was Broken Biscuit.
I just wanted you to say Eat Me Gently one more time.
Oh, okay. I see. I see what we're doing here.
And I didn't write anything.
Gotcha. Strongest element.
The power and struggle behind her voice.
Yep. Actual use of vocal talents and production in the latter albums. I love that. Mm-hmm. Weakest?
Her need to adjust her sound to stay relevant.
Hadn't considered that. I don't think about the times that most of these things were recorded in. Mm-hmm. I feel it, but I don't think about it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I could see that. I thought the slow acoustics in the early albums did not do her any favors. And that MSMR vocal thing she had going on, was not feeling it.
Yeah.
What was your first or best experience with this artist?
David Guetta's Titanium. She wrote Titanium. She originally wrote it for Alicia Keys. Well,
that would have been interesting.
I guess Alicia Keys didn't jump on it. David Guetta got it. And he decided to use Sia's recording vocals for the demo. And he liked it so much that he sent it off. And next thing you know, Sia's a thing. So she's not just writing music and, performing her own stuff. She's being sampled in other people's music. So that's really where she picked up. She was only sampled in a couple of people. I think Flo Rida was one of them too. She was just a sample.
Hasn't Eminem used her samples a few times?
I think so.
Another, what I couldn't quit thinking about when you were talking just now. I heard the words. It's just difficult for me to process because I was thinking that the best version of Titanium for me is done by a group called Within Temptation. I love that version. Mm. If you've never heard it, go listen to it after. Rayburn.
Okay, I will listen. I'll listen to it if you'll listen to Lily Allen.
Who is this artist most similar to?
Amy Winehouse and Lily Allen. We answered that.
Oh, we did.
I did.
I didn't answer.
You didn't.
Gotcha. I would have said Natasha Bedingfield and Marina. She used to be Marina and the Diamonds. That artist gets compared a lot to Lana Del Rey. But this is mostly the latter half of Sia's work that I'm talking about. How does her music make you feel?
You ready for a big word?
Yes.
Triumphant. I just got the eyebrows.
Well, I felt triumphant after getting through those first 3 albums because I listened to them twice. I triumphantly overcame.
Different levels of triumph.
Yeah.
So what'd you say?
Suicidally bored, or like I'm at a good party. Her later music, yeah, I'm telling you.
You went on a roller coaster ride.
I did, with both artists this week. I was surprised. When is the perfect time to listen to this artist?
I took a page out of your book and I did one for later stuff and earlier stuff. Her later stuff at the gym. I think that's one of the reasons why I said triumphant.
Okay.
Because it built something in me.
Okay.
And then her earlier stuff on a walk.
Okay.
Walking around town, looking at trees and.
Be afraid that I would fall asleep on that walk.
What because her earlier stuff? I don't know because it was so slow paced.
Okay.
Okay.
My answer was just pretty much the same as my previous answer. Suicidally bored or like I'm at a good party. Okay. So
if you listen to Sia, I'm going to need you to call me so I can check in on you if you're suicidally bored.
I can attest to the fact that I plan to never listen to those first 3 albums we ranked again. But This Is Acting and 1,000 Forms of Fear, I would. And again, some people have real problems. Was better. Okay. I did notice, by the way, that she took an extra year or 2 versus the other albums. They came out pretty quick, so I'm wondering if that increased production value, tighter songwriting was a result of that extra time.
There was 5 years between We Are Born and 1,000 Forms of Fear.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she took a 5-year break, which I think she was writing a lot of that time for other people, and she just wasn't producing her own music.
Yeah.
So, we already said what artist. Oh, you didn't.
What would you like them to collaborate with? Who would you like Sia to collaborate with? Oh, it took me a minute because I had written the word same, and I realized the answer to the previous question was don't care.
Oh, okay. So, okay, so Shane doesn't care. You know my answer, Adele. Sky followed by Adele, I think Sia would do really, really good on. What odd thing do you love or hate about this artist?
Her voice, and it is most definitely love or hate. I feel one way or the other, almost never any in between. You?
I said the exact same thing. I said her voice. I really like the way that her sound and voice takes you on a journey. Like, tells a story.
Yeah.
So, that's what I would say. Her voice is definitely her strongest.
And that feeds into the next answer, too, for how could this artist be most successful in the future? I said stick to a big sound.
And I contradict whatever Shane says because I said slowing it down and getting back to basics.
Oh, no, please don't do that. I mean, you can do that because it doesn't really matter to me. Mm-hmm. I'm on the fence. This isn't an artist I'm going to chase her new music to hear for fun. Mm-hmm. I won't be obsessively looking for new music by Sia. But Rayburn would if you would just slow it down.
Yeah, if you just slow it down a little bit. But no, I like her newer stuff too. Again, that some people have real problems, 1,000 Forms of Fear, and this is acting. They were all at the same opinion level. The only reason why they got ranked the way that they did is some people have real problems, had more 5s. Honestly,
I get that, and that's how I rank my my artists in the end. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, albums are ranked by purchase value, which we never got into, and I'm not going to.
No, we didn't. But that's going to be for a whole nother discussion later.
How likely are you to recommend this artist?
Most likely. So it got better than Radiohead, where I said sure.
Who would you recommend this artist to specifically? Not me.
I would probably recommend it to my sister.
Okay.
Especially the newer stuff.
Yeah, I could see her with the newer stuff.
You know, a lot of people have like an internal struggle. I just think she would like identify with Sia's struggle in her voice.
Yeah.
That whole feeling triumphant thing, yeah. I think she could.
She was really big into Hollywood Undead for a while, and now she's big on Post Malone.
Right? And Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish, okay.
Yeah, and yeah, those are her people, man.
She could definitely get into the end of Sia's work then, mm-hmm. as far as what we rated.
Yeah.
I'm not very likely to recommend this artist. Maybe just those last 2 albums. History Lesson. Mm-hmm. The 1,000 Forms of Fear is actually one of the first albums I ever rated. I've been listening to music my whole life, but you remember, I've been trying to find an outlet mm-hmm. for music for a while.
Yes.
And this is what it's come to. We tried to get together for a while as a group and rate music, and I think some of us were feeling it, and the rest of us definitely weren't. And we sat down with a bunch of different music artists at an event one time and listened and rated a bunch of music. And this was one of those albums, 1,000 Forms of Fear was. Mm. I feel better about it now than I did back then. I can say that much. Maybe
you've changed as a person.
Yeah. Plus, you're in a group making opinions on the fly. You're not alone in your headphones.
Yeah.
It hits different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right. Do you have discussion topics down low?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. It was pretty cut and dry with me. Again, Sia just beat out Radiohead, and I was very, very surprised at that because she has more hits, but I guess that goes to show I don't just stick with the hits.
You wanted to like Radiohead more. You just didn't.
I think I really wanted to like Sia more.
Okay.
Sia disappointed me. Radiohead surprised me, especially with those 2 albums that I had never heard.
Okay. So what I wrote down here was there's a related act known as LSD, which is 3 people, and I'm not going to remember it correctly off the top of my head, I don't think. Each letter stands for something. I think it's Diplo, Sia, Labyrinth, I think is the other. So those three artists are known as LSD. So if you want to listen to more of her music with some other artists involved, that's probably pretty good because I like what the other 2 artists do. So I suspect the sound is big. Rayburn might not like it as much. I was surprised by her age. Again, it's because she's been around so long. It's just very interesting to see an artist these days break into the mainstream when they're that old.
She just became a grandmother.
Yeah.
Like literally, like maybe a couple weeks ago, she just became a grandmother.
Which props to anybody that can do that in this day and age, because it is a rarity.
Mm-hmm.
Would you recommend
45.
the Greatest Hits album?
I would.
Yeah.
I think she's got a lot that she has to work with. And it's just, if she wanted to start out something slow and have it like maybe a little bit of her earlier stuff.
Yeah.
And progress it to her in your face, triumphant sound, it'll definitely show how much she's grown as an artist.
So you want to showcase?
I would, I mean, but then again,
it makes sense.
I like some of her earlier stuff,
yeah,
whereas you don't.
Well, and that's not to say I hated all this stuff. I didn't go through and give everything like 1s and 2s.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of background. If it's playing, maybe I will, maybe I won't change it sort of stuff.
Yeah.
My feelings on this were mixed because I think she needs a Greatest Hits album. I just think that it wouldn't be packed with the things that I really enjoyed. I think it's going to be the wrong picks, so why bother with a Greatest Hits album when it's still something I'm not going to go and listen to? Listen to 1,000 Forms of Fear. Listen to This Is Acting. If you like slower acoustic stuff, listen to Some People Have Real Problems.
I will say, give Some People Have Real Problems a chance. Yeah. For sure. Color Me the Small One and We Are Born. You don't even have to touch on this if you don't want to. Another
thing would be the music videos. She has 3, I think, music videos that feature
Chandelier, Maddie Ziegler.
Yeah.
From Dance Moms.
Which I know Elastic Heart and Chandelier both feature, and they're excellent videos.
She just partnered on
weirded out by watching them most of the time because I enjoy the dance, but
it's a child.
Yeah, and I'm a middle-aged male essentially now, and I feel like it would be weird if I was in a room watching this by myself.
It's very artsy and beautiful. Because the way, I guess, I think of it the same way. It's a child expressing a story or her feeling through her body.
Yes.
And I think that it's beautiful. It's a beautiful message. But yeah, the fact that it's a child, she's a terrific dancer.
And it does, I should preface that previous statement with the fact that it does absolutely nothing for me. Those videos remind me a lot of a film called Leon, the Professional, where Natalie Portman was young, which she grows up to be gorgeous. But in that film, there's a sect of the world that watches that movie for their own freaky deaky reasons.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that for me though. It's a great film. And I feel the same way about these videos. They're fantastic, but watch them with people because you're going to feel weird if you're some...
You can understand why they've been a little problematic.
Yes.
But that's not to say that you don't appreciate the art in it. So, yeah, Maddie Ziegler, she's a great dancer, and she has, I guess, adopted herself as her godmother in a way, because they're still partnering together. And the Christmas, Sia just came out with a new Christmas album that Maddie's featured a lot on, so...
Typically, we'd be answering audience questions or giving reading over feedback we've gotten from listeners. Right now, we don't have any of that yet. So just want to take this time to encourage anyone listening to write in. Let us know what you think, what you love, what you hate, if you disagree with us, what we should give a second chance, any of that. Do you have any thoughts there as to what you would like?
I would like... obviously for you to share as much as you're comfortable with. If you want to troll some friends, say you have a friend that's a diehard Radiohead fan, please send us to them so we can highly piss them off.
Yes, encourage the 1-star reviews on iTunes. That's exactly what we're going for here.
We'll single-handedly bring down Radiohead a day at a time.
No, we're going to bring down our podcast.
True.
But please go for it. We like trolls. We know this is opinion, so what does it matter?
Yeah, I would highly encourage you to obviously share the the more listeners, the more of a circle we get and more feedback to bounce off of each other. We're wanting you guys to be highly participated in this podcast, and we highly encourage it. So just give us a chance, listen in, and let us know what we can do better and how we can better improve this podcast, because at the end of the day, we're making this for you guys and for ourselves. We're all the same type of people when it comes to music. So,
and we are all over the social media sphere.
Yes, we are.
We'll be launching that publicly once this releases. So you can find us almost everywhere by just typing rated_radio at the end of any web address. So like if you're on Facebook, well, Facebook is different. But Instagram, after the end of it, instagram.com/rated_radio. You can put that in just about anywhere. We don't have a web address for YouTube yet because you have to get certain things there, which we don't have any content. So why would you go there?
We're in the process of getting a website where you can find all these links in one place, as well as a link to where you can listen to us on Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. So that is coming. And again, we highly encourage a discussion. Feel free to email us at rated_radio@yahoo.com. We take suggestions, and we just want you guys to feel like you're a part of the discussion.
Yes. And the Facebook, by the way, just has no underscore. So just Rated Radio. Type that in at the end of the web address and you'll get there. We will be posting polls on Twitter that you can vote in. Well, we'll be all over the internet. So if you want to tell us which artist you thought should have won or should win next week's, artist battle, we're looking for that. We will eventually follow up on these things.
And I don't know if we want to announce who next week is going to be.
Yeah, just a second, though.
Oh, yeah.
I'm struggling over here. I don't know why. It's
all right. What we're actually going to be doing is, as we said, these artists are going to be drawn at random from something that we call the jam jar. We want you guys to feel like your opinions are the main priority, because obviously you guys are going to be what keeps us alive and kicking. So we want you guys to feel a part of it. But this week, we actually got to choose, and this will more than likely be the last time that we will be able to choose an artist.
Yeah, these weren't our original picks for how we planned to start the show. This is just where we wound up. Our original picks were
Fleetwood Mac
and
Die Antwoord.
Say it correctly.
Die Antwoord.
That's still not correct.
What is it?
Die Antwoord.
Jesus Christ, South African. You know what? I'm not from South Africa. They are.
Nor am I.
Nor are you.
Yeah. If you listen to the mixtape, you will hear their lead songwriter, vocalist make fun of you.
Yes.
Or I think it's... Anyway, those are the artists we picked. What kinds of music do you listen to normally? I know you mentioned Beatles, but what are your music tastes in general?
Well, I mean, I chose Fleetwood Mac for a reason. I do like a lot of early 70s, I guess, like rock. I wouldn't say that. Maybe like Southern, like a Jim Croce, Fleetwood Mac. I love newer stuff. I mean, I'm also a child of the 90s. So
you're a hipster with attitude?
Yeah, sure.
You didn't like that, did you?
A hipster with attitude.
Don't pigeonhole me.
Don't hipsters have attitude anyway?
Not really. I don't think of it. I watch way too much South Park, so when you say hipster, I just think of...
them walking, the Scarf Kids.
Bored to death.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's me. That's me in a nutshell. Thank you for...
Great Blink-182 song, by the way. Bored to death.
Bored to death?
Yeah.
You said bored to death during your Radiohead.
And it didn't even occur to me.
There you go.
Well.
What about you? I mean, like I said, I'm all over the board.
I listen to everything. I do. I can't think of a type of music that I won't listen to. There's an artist I do not want to listen to.
Yeah.
And that's Lil Pump.
Oh my God.
Do not go listen to that, please. But I find that there's a lot of music I genuinely enjoy hearing, even though the lyrical content isn't that great. Good example, popular music is Black Beatles by Ray Shremmerd, or however you say it. Like, it's some really dumb lyrics in places, but I love the sound of that song. Yeah, and I am consistently listening to what a lot of people will call garbage music. On top of my normal stuff, I listen to a lot of prog, a lot of symphonic, a lot of rap, country.
Mm-hmm. You more country than me.
Yeah. I
appreciate some older country and like 90s country. But
me too. We just don't get into that very often.
No, we don't. But
I don't like super old country or a lot of new country I can't really get into. But.
Yeah. But hopefully we will.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why we're doing this is we want to learn.
And you can shape what we listen to, which is great. And,
if you want to put us through absolute bored to death, recommend some things that we won't like.
Yeah, and you can recommend anybody. Our rule of thumb is that we don't cover artists. We won't cover any artists that have 3 albums or less than 3 albums. They have to have at least 3, including EPs. We will cover EPs, but you can still recommend an artist that only has 1 album out. They're just going to be part of a special episode where we pull all of those kinds of artists together and randomly go over what we can.
What are so we said the artists that we were covering, Fleetwood Mac and
D. Antwoord. There
you go. Do we want to inform the listeners of what albums we'll be covering so that maybe they might want to cover them with us?
I think maybe we can post it online after.
Okay.
The problem is we'll always pick our albums. We'll pick which albums we want to listen to, so it's not necessarily going to be in chronological order. Mm-hmm. So we'll do that after the show so we're not boring the hell out of everyone picking everything while we're here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but we'll post it to the social media accounts after the fact, and we'll always be running polls. We'll probably run some random polls too in between. None of our social media stuff will be the same on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all going to be different, so it's a good idea to follow us in all places if you are all places. Mm-hmm. Something else I forgot to mention, and this may need to be cut, but if you are on Spotify at some point and you do end up listening to my music for some reason, a certain someone is featured on one of those songs. So, feel free to judge her as well. I won't name any names, but it's a hard name to miss.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't either.
Who could remotely be talking about? But then again, I don't know everyone you know.
Why should people take our opinions seriously?
Because we're just like them at the end of the day.
Are we?
Well, maybe a little less. No. I mean, you want to hear... We're not the experts. And at the end of the day, who wants to listen to pretentious experts anyway?
Yeah.
It's an open discussion. Other lovers of music that want to talk to people about music can feel a part of the conversation with us.
And that's what I think will be great about the shows beyond this one, is you'll have the ability to listen in advance to know where you fall on the spectrum of what we're talking about. This, you're just kind of being hit out of left field with these 2 artists that we've probably talked way too much about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talked way too much about. Yeah. rated_radio@yahoo.com.
Yes, rated_radio. The Rated Radio podcast, although you can't look us up anywhere like that.
No, but you can email us.
Yes, you can. You could also leave it as a comment, write us on social media, anywhere. You don't have to use email because a lot of people will not do that.
I know.
Yeah, and if you know us personally, you can write it to us on our personal accounts. Me, probably less than Rayburn.
Yes.
Because I already have stuff coming in from the authoring and all other sorts of crap that I do, so... Yeah.
Feel free to text me. No. Text in 1-800.
Just call her. She loves to talk. She could spend all day, every day talking about the future of the podcast.
Yep. So if you're interested in that, go ahead, give me a call.
And anyway, that's going to be the show for this week. Don't forget to vote in our polls, and let's all get to listening.
Bye, y'all.